Well, the reason she got the job is because she's pretty bright, she's incredibly dedicated, and she'll be good at it. That's right. Erin Oban is newly appointed USDA Rural Development Director, which means as somebody who built rural water systems, she's pretty important. She has some money. And she is a conduit to the federal government when it comes to things like building rural water systems. Let's bring her in. I don't know if I'm supposed to still call you state senator. You're still a state senator until your term is up. Can I still call you that, or just good old-fashioned Erin?
Well, you should. I mean, you've called me far worse than any of those things, Joel. So Erin is always the best and safest option, but I will be resigning my legislative seat effective on Sunday. So until then, and until I actually get sworn in the job, Erin is the best, though.
Okay. Erin was a young, well, I used to work on bringing young people together on my side of the aisle and saying, okay, here's what politics are, here's what we do. And Erin was in one of those classrooms one time, and it didn't take long to see the cream rise to the top. And so this didn't shock me at all, the fact that the Biden administration said you need to run this in the state of North Dakota. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I want to make sure people know what USDA rural development is. Explain that to folks.
Sure. So it's in layman's terms, it is a financing agency through grants, loans, and loan guarantees to expand economic opportunities and improve the quality of life for people in rural and tribal communities. You can't apply if you are a large city, essentially. And so these dollars are meant to target our most underserved areas where it potentially is difficult to find financing, where it's difficult to piece together opportunities. And so that is what the entire existence of the agency is about.
And I know that one of your passions is helping out the tribes. They don't exactly sit there as tribal members and look at the federal government always as a friend. They don't. And so having that outreach and someone that can advocate for them and use the things that the federal government is dedicated to making sure their lives get better, I mean, that alone is going to be a rewarding part of this, Erin.
Absolutely. I think really what I loved most, Joel, about being a legislator, and you know that job as well as anybody, is connecting with people all across the state on important things that really don't bring partisanship to the table at all. And that is how we improve the lives of North Dakotans no matter where they live. I grew up in a town of 650 people. Shout out to my Ray Jays up in the northwest corner of the state. And so, you know, for as long as I've lived in Bismarck, those values that you get instilled in you growing up in a small rural community don't change. And then through being a legislator, being able to develop relationships with our tribal leaders all across the state. Certainly, I will need to make sure that we build stronger, trusted relationships. That's absolutely crucial in getting important work done. But I do bring some of that to the table that I've been able to build as a legislator, and that I just want to continue to put to work with the team at Rural Development. So
you mentioned that you're going to be resigning your state Senate seat on Sunday. Is that a requirement of this job?
So it's my understanding that there is no requirement. It was made very clear to me that this is a very full-time job. And I don't want to shortchange anybody in that process. So while certainly it maybe could have been workable considering we're in the middle of an interim, as a member right now of the minority party in the legislature, my list of responsibilities is pretty long because we carry a bigger load because we don't have as many folks to share that workload with. So I have made that decision and informed the proper people that I can't do justice to both.
And I think it needs to be pointed out that there was a law put in place that the party that elected that position gets to make the appointment to that position. In other words, the appointment that goes forth as the next state senator leading up to the election is in fact going to be made by the Dem NPL, right?
That's correct. Yep. Okay. And we've seen that happen across both parties. So the District 35 Democratic NPL district organization they've determined to have open it up to interviews. Certainly, they have an endorsed candidate for this coming fall, since my term would have been ending at the end of November of this year. But that's how they will proceed.
I was there for the development of that, and one of the reasons that I thought it was a good idea was because of special elections. You know, you move forward. There's an election coming, and then people can make decisions. When they first called and said, let's do a background check. Let's find out whether or not you meet the criteria or if there's anything there. You know, when they first started doing that, obviously it was your job to keep quiet about whether or not this was on the plate. How hard is that? I mean, you've got the opportunity to do something pretty exciting, and yet you don't know if it's going to happen, and yet you're willing to do it if it does happen. And I know you're excited to do the job. I mean, holding those cards close had to be a doggone hard thing.
Well, it's especially close because, as you know, Joel, in political circles, people circulate rumors, whether they are true or not. And you know, I wanted to be respectful of the process, and I also knew that I was not the only person they were considering for this role. And so, not only did I go through a background check, I went through a series of interviews to make sure that I was the person that they wanted for this job. So I took nothing for granted. I made no assumptions along the process. And, you know, the fact that I was contacted in December after I had made the decision not to run for re-election, the White House reached out and said, we've been given your name by people who think you would be good for it, but you've submitted nothing that you were interested in the job. So if you want to interview, you're welcome to do that. And so at that point, I did decide, okay, maybe I should just put myself forward. And if I have to offer what they are looking for, I will be happy to continue in public service.
Well, and that's the key words there, public service. That's something you've been passionate about for a long time. It's just a different role. And, you know, with all due respect to you as a state senator and me as a former state senator, it's a bigger role and a more powerful role, because now you can look at something and say, look, well, you know, we have a program for that. We have finances that we can put to work here on that. And so if I could have had that type of power in the legislature, I would have jumped up and down and been pretty happy about it. So
I'm pretty excited about being able to do work that is not partisan, that is really about bringing people together, connecting people with programs and problems with solutions, and just continuing to be of help where I'm able. So the team at Rural Development is so great, Joel, and I feel really fortunate to join them.
When do you officially start? Have
Monday.
you already, or Monday?
No, yeah, I start on Monday. Mm-hmm.
So you got the name plaque ready? Do you know where your office is?
I know where the office is. The acting director and I were able to connect yesterday, and he's being just really wonderful in this transition, and appreciate the extra workload he's taken on in the absence of having a director. So I at least know where the office is, and I'm lucky enough to, you know, I go from a couple blocks away from the state capitol to now being a couple blocks away at the federal building here in Bismarck. But that's where the office is based for this. Are
there any trips out to DC for training, or, you know, is this just something you hit the ground running on?
I anticipate there likely will be, but that's certainly not where their immediate focus is. They are sending me my technology. They are swearing me in virtually. So I don't think the goal is to get any, you know, sweet trips out of this or anything. Certainly, I will need to and insist on learning first. And so learning from my colleagues across the country, but also from the staff right here across USDA Rural Development. And then getting on the road in North Dakota, which is where I want to focus the work anyway. So many rural communities and tribal communities where we can connect these opportunities with their needs and put the dollars that are appropriated to North Dakota to work.
Well, you said the key words, public service. You're good at it. They made a great choice. Erin, thanks for coming down the road with us.